Hey folks, welcome back to Stoic Talks. Let me make something crystal clear. Your silence is your power, and your reaction is their victory. Right now, you're at a crossroads, and it's time to decide whether you'll continue to be a pawn in their game or rise up as the master of your own destiny. Think about it. Every time you've begged, every time you've chased, what happened? Did they come closer? Or did they pull further away? You already know the answer. They drifted, and you crumbled. How confusing, isn't it? So, are you ready to dive deep into this? We're going to uncover every question swirling in your mind and explore why silence is the ultimate solution. But before we do, I have a quick request. Hit the like button under this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's take this journey together. And now, let's begin. Now, let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing in the pouring rain, desperately trying to shield a flame with your bare hands. The more you protect it, the more it flickers. The more it threatens to die out. That's what begging, chasing, and pleading look like in relationships. A frantic, futile attempt to keep something alive that's already slipping away. And you know this, right? And don't tell me you've done this. Oh, my friend, do you even realize what you've done to your dignity, your self-respect, your power? No, you don't. So let me tell you, when you beg someone to stay with you, to choose you, what you're really saying is, you are more important than me. Your validation defines my worth. And let me be brutally honest. No one wants to choose someone who doesn't even choose themselves. No one values what is handed over so easily, so why would they? Why would they fight for someone who has already declared themselves unworthy? This is what happened to you, isn't it? You chased, you begged, you pleaded, and they pulled further away. Am I right? When you react to their games, whether it's ignoring you, ghosting you, or pulling away, you are handing them the keys to your emotions. They say jump, and you ask, how high? They stop responding, and you start spiraling. Every time you send that one last text, post that cryptic status, or try to remind them of your value, you are showing them one thing: you value them more than yourself. And let me tell you, no one, and I mean no one, respects, chooses, or falls in love with a puppet. So, what are your options now? Does this mean it's over, that there's no way back? Absolutely not. What if, instead of giving them more of your energy, you decided to give it to someone far more deserving, yourself? What if, instead of reacting to their decision to reject or ignore you, you made a decision of your own? What if you decided, enough? So imagine this. The next time they ignore you, you don't text, you don't call, you don't post anything remotely related to them. Instead, you decide to cut the sting of being their personal puppet. Instead, you decide to refuse dancing to their tunes, and you did something they never expected. You went completely silent. No explanations, no justifications, no breadcrumbs for them to follow. What happens next? Did they get confused? Did they simply move on? Or did they come crawling back? Now I know what you might be thinking, but I already begged them. I already tried everything to make them notice me. Sound familiar? You're not alone. We've all been there, stuck in that frustrating cycle of trying harder, giving more, only to feel like it's never enough. But think for a moment. What if, right at this point, right when you feel like you've done everything, you decide, enough? What if, instead of becoming their emotional puppet, dancing to the strings of their indifference, you choose silence? Picture this. Every move they made was designed to get a reaction from you. Maybe not intentionally, but that's how it works. Maybe they ignored your texts to test your patience. Maybe they pulled away to see if you'd chase. Or maybe, just maybe, they're sending a message loud and clear. I'm not interested. Leave me alone. So, who has the power here? Up until now, they've been winning. They've been calling the shots, dictating the dynamic, keeping you on edge. But the moment you go silent, the game changes. Suddenly, they're the ones left in the dark, wondering where you went. So, the answer to, did they come crawling back, is, what do you do after this silence? And if you decide to sit in some dark room, waiting for them to notice you, hell no. You're using this silence to transform yourself. If anyone is telling you to go silent just to sit there and wait for them to come crawling back, they're feeding you lies. And yes, they will get confused, but they will not come crawling back, not in the way you think. When you go silent, they might notice. They might start to miss you. They might get a little confused, but only for a moment. Then, they will move on with their lives. That's the harsh truth no one tells you. And here's the thing. If your silence is driven by the hope that they'll return, you're still handing them power over you. That's not Stoicism. That's desperation in disguise. So, here's the real thing. Silence isn't about them, it's about you. It's about reclaiming the energy you've been pouring into someone who hasn't earned it. It's about focusing on your own growth, your own peace, and your own happiness. As you do this, you'll realize something profound. The person who was ignoring you isn't as important as you once thought. Their approval isn't the prize. You are. So, don't get this twisted. This silence isn't about sitting in the shadows, waiting for them to see your worth. It's about you realizing that their opinion doesn't define your worth in the first place. Let me ask you this. Do you want to spend your life chasing someone who runs away? Do you want to waste your energy proving your value to someone who doesn't see it? Or do you want to stand tall, hold your head high, and let your silence speak louder than any words ever could? As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Their behavior is out of your control, but your response isn't. And when your response is silence, you're showing them, and more importantly yourself, that you are stronger than their games. Here's your challenge. The next time they ignore you, the next time they pull away, resist the urge to react. Don't text them. Don't call them. Don't post a thing on social media. Instead, focus on yourself. Use that energy to build yourself up, to grow, to thrive. Let your silence be a reflection of your confidence, your dignity, your power. And this will be the moment when they finally notice, when they come back, curious, regretful, maybe even desperate to understand why you stopped chasing. That's when you'll understand the true power of silence. It's not just about confusing them, it's about freeing yourself. It's about stepping out of the shadow of their indifference and into the light of your own worth. So, what will you choose? Reacting to their behavior or reclaiming your power? Let me know in the comments. Just drop silence if these words resonate with you. The choice is yours, and it starts with self-respect. It starts with choosing yourself. It starts with silence. You are not going to beg. You are going to stand tall. When they see you standing in confidence, when they were expecting you to beg, to break, to sit in that dark room crying, they will finally get it. It was never you who needed them. So, are you ready to dive into this deeply? This was just the trailer. Your rise has so much more ahead. Number 1, don't block them. Blind them with your shine. Imagine a stage where the spotlight is on them, and you're sitting in the dark, clapping for their performance, hoping they'll notice you. But let me ask you, Why are you sitting there? Why are you applauding someone who walked out on your show? You're not the audience in this story. You're the star. Yet here you are, dimming your light for someone who wouldn't even buy a ticket to your life. That ends now. As Epictetus said, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? This isn't about waiting for them to recognize your value. It's about realizing that their validation was never the source of your worth. Blocking them on social media, avoiding their posts, that's not strength. Strength is shining so brightly that their shadow fades into irrelevance. You're not here to hide. You're here to rise. Now, you might be asking, but when I see them thriving on social media, what then? When they're smiling, posting, and looking like they've moved on, use that as fuel. Let their apparent happiness remind you of the work you need to do on yourself. Because here's the truth. They're not thriving. That smile is a mask. Their highlight reel isn't real life, and you're falling for a facade. Even if their joy is genuine, let me tell you something. So what? Your worth isn't measured by their timeline, their stories, or their pictures. It's measured by the life you build for yourself, while they're busy curating moments to keep you looking back. Every time you see their post and feel that sting, stop and ask yourself, why am I giving this power over me? You're not supposed to break into pieces just because they're trying to project perfection. Their game isn't your reality. Don't let it be. Your reality is the work you're about to do, the transformation you're about to begin. While they post to look happy, you're about to live it for real. How do you get this shine, you ask? You don't chase it. You create it. Shine isn't something handed to you when someone finally decides you're worth it. It's the fire you ignite within yourself, the energy you pour into becoming the version of you that no one can touch. The work begins when you stop scrolling, stop reacting, and start growing. Redefine what thriving means to you. It's not about them seeing your glow. It's about you feeling it, even when no one is looking. That glow comes when you take all the energy you've been wasting on them and turn it inward. They walked out? Good. Redesign the stage, rewrite the script, and make it your masterpiece. Focus on your goals, your peace, your joy. When you stop worrying about their timeline, you'll finally realize you're on your own. And guess what? Your timeline is where the real magic happens. Blocking them? That's nothing more than a temporary band-aid. Blind them instead. Blind them with your growth, your strength, and your silence. Become the version of yourself they couldn't even imagine. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the presence of unshakable confidence. Let your life be so vibrant, so uncontainable, that their memory fades like a shadow in the sunlight. And when you shine, you won't need to show it off. You won't need to post it, flaunt it, or hope they notice it. You'll just be. Your glow will be undeniable because it's rooted in authenticity, not desperation. You won't just be someone they lost. You'll be someone they'll never get back, no matter how hard they try. Let me leave you with this. There's no greater revenge than becoming everything they thought you couldn't be. You don't block them because blocking says, I still see you. You shine so brightly that it says, I don't even remember you. Write this in the comments for once and for all. I shine on my terms. Let that be your mantra. Say it, live it, and never forget it. Your light is your power. Make it blinding. And how do you shine? That's the real question, isn't it? Not just a surface-level glow, but a radiance so powerful it transforms your life and leaves no doubt about your strength. This is exactly what we're going to dive into in the next few steps, because shining isn't just about bouncing back. It's about rising so high that even your shadow stands taller. If you're ready to learn how to redesign the life they left empty, rewrite your own story, and turn the spotlight back where it belongs, on you, then stay with me. The next steps will take you deeper, revealing how to turn your silence into your loudest victory. And hey, if you still haven't pressed that little like button, now's the time. Help push this video to reach more people who need to hear this. Your support matters, and together we can spread this message far and wide. Stick around. Your transformation starts here. Number 2. Redesign the room they left empty. Folks, here it is, the most powerful step in your journey. Redesign the room they left empty. Let's not sugarcoat it. When someone leaves your life, they don't just walk away. They tear a hole in the fabric of your world. It's like standing in a room where all the furniture has been ripped out, leaving only emptiness and echoes of what used to be. That emptiness is suffocating, isn't it? But let me ask you something. Why are you just standing there, staring at that empty room? You're the designer of your life, not a caretaker of their leftovers. That room isn't a tomb for what's lost. It's a canvas for what's coming. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Their exit isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your masterpiece. This is your chance to rebuild, to reimagine, to create something so extraordinary that the void they left behind becomes the foundation of your greatest chapter. But it won't happen while you're clinging to the scraps they left behind. It happens when you take control, pick up the pieces, and start redesigning. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine walking into a room filled with broken furniture, shattered glass, and torn curtains. You wouldn't sit there mourning the mess forever, would you? No. At some point, you'd roll up your sleeves, clear out the debris, and start fresh. Life is no different. The emptiness they left behind isn't your identity. It's a challenge, a blank slate. But here's the catch. Only you can decide what goes into that room. Now, will you let it stay empty, haunted by their memory, or will you fill it with the most beautiful, vibrant pieces of yourself? Now, I know what you're thinking. But how do I redesign when I feel so broken? Here's the truth. Brokenness is where the magic begins. As Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. The cracks they left in your life aren't flaws. They're openings for growth, for reinvention, for light to pour in. Stop staring at the emptiness they created and start imagining the possibilities. Step 1 is clearing out the clutter. This means more than just deleting old photos or packing away their things. It means confronting the emotional baggage they left behind. Anger, sadness, resentment. These are the broken pieces scattered across your mental space. If you don't clear them out, they'll trip you up every time you try to move forward. Write it down, scream it out, cry if you need to, but don't let it sit there collecting dust in your heart. As Seneca said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Master yourself by letting go of what no longer serves you. Once the room is clear, it's time to rebuild. But here's the thing. You're not rebuilding for them. You're not redesigning so they'll come back and admire your work. You're doing it for you. This is your space, your sanctuary, your life. So, what goes into it? Start with your passions. What lights you up? What have you always wanted to do but never made time for? That empty room is your opportunity to create a life that feels like home, filled with purpose, joy, and things that make your soul come alive. Think of it like this. If you've ever redecorated a space, you know the joy of picking out the perfect colors, textures, and pieces that reflect your personality. Your life is no different. Fill it with the things that make you feel alive, whether it's learning a new skill, pursuing a forgotten dream, or simply taking time to care for yourself. These are the decorations of your new life, the pieces that will make your room feel full again, not with their presence, but with your power. Now, you might say, "But I feel lost. I don't know where to start." Start with what you have. As Lao Tzu said, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." That step might be as simple as picking up a book, joining a class, or taking a walk outside. The point is to begin. Action, no matter how small, is the antidote to stagnation. Every small move you make toward filling that room with purpose is a declaration that you refuse to let their absence define you. And here's a secret. When you start redesigning your life, something incredible happens. You stop focusing on what you lost and start appreciating what you're gaining. That room they left empty, it becomes a palace of your own making, filled with everything they couldn't see in you. You stop chasing their validation and start living for your own. But let me warn you, this isn't easy. Redesigning takes work. It takes courage to face the emptiness, to clear out the past, and to start fresh. But every step you take is a step toward freedom. Freedom from the chains of their absence. Freedom from the need for their approval. Freedom to live a life that is fully, unapologetically yours. So, where do you begin? Start small. Look around your life and ask yourself, what needs to go? Maybe it's a toxic habit, a limiting belief, or even just the routine that's kept you stuck. Clear it out. Then ask yourself, what can I add? Maybe it's a new hobby, a fitness goal, or simply more time spent doing things that make you happy. The key is to fill your life with things that make you shine, not things that remind you of the darkness they left behind. And here's the most important part. Don't rush. Redesigning takes time. Just like creating a beautiful space, creating a beautiful life requires patience, care, and attention to detail. Trust the process. Every small change you make is a step toward the masterpiece you're creating. Let me leave you with this. The room they left empty isn't a curse, it's a gift. It's your chance to start over, to build something that is entirely your own. As Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Find your why. Redesign your room with purpose, and when you're done, don't just live in it, thrive in it. Now take a moment and write this in the comments. I redesign my life for me. Say it, own it, let it be your declaration to yourself and the world. You're not a victim of their absence. You're the architect of your own greatness. Build boldly. Number 3, rewrite the ending. Imagine you're holding a book, one where every chapter up until now has been written by someone else. They've crafted the plot, dictated your role, and decided how your story should unfold. But here's the thing. This is your book. So why are you letting someone else hold the pen? Why are you sitting there reading their version of your life like it's the only option? It's time to rip out the pages they wrote and start rewriting the ending. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The events of your life up to this point may not have been your choice. They may have ignored you, rejected you, or left you. That's the story they tried to write for you. But the power to respond, to rise, to redefine what happens next, that's all yours. No one gets to write the ending but you. Now let's be real. You might feel like you're stuck in a narrative that keeps repeating heartbreak, rejection, and being overlooked. Maybe you've convinced yourself that this is just how it is, that their departure is the final chapter of your story. Let me tell you something. This isn't the end. It's just the place where you pick up the pen and start creating something entirely new. Their rejection isn't a period. It's a comma, a pause before the real transformation begins. You might ask, but how do I rewrite the ending when the pain feels so overwhelming? The answer lies in shifting your perspective. Stop seeing yourself as the victim in their story and start seeing yourself as the hero in your own. Every great hero has faced betrayal, loss, and moments of despair. But those moments aren't where their story ends. They're the fuel for their greatest rise. As Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Your pain isn't your prison, it's your power. You use it. Think of this like editing a movie. When you're in the middle of the heartbreak, it feels like a disaster scene playing on repeat. But you're the director, and you can cut that scene, change the music, and rewrite the dialogue. You can turn the devastation into a montage of growth, resilience, and triumph. It's not about erasing what happened. It's about reframing it. What they did to you doesn't define you. How you rise from it does. Here's how you start. First, accept the reality. They left. They ignored you. They didn't see your worth. Fine. But don't stay stuck there. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The power is in your reaction, and your reaction isn't to chase them, explain yourself, or wallow in what could have been. Your reaction is to build a life so extraordinary that their absence becomes irrelevant. Next, visualize your new ending. What does the best version of you look like? How does that person live, think, and thrive? This isn't about proving anything to them. It's about proving to yourself that you are so much more than their departure. Write that vision down. Make it vivid. Then start living as if it's already true. Every small step you take toward that vision is a line in your rewritten chapter, a stroke in your masterpiece. When doubts creep in, and they will, remember this. Their rejection wasn't about you, it was about them. Their inability to value you doesn't diminish your value. As Viktor Frankl said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. You can't change the fact that they left, but you can change what happens next. You can take the pen back and start writing the story you deserve. And here's the twist. When you start rewriting your ending, you stop focusing on them entirely. They become a footnote in your journey, a lesson learned, not the main character in your life. The energy you once spent on them gets redirected into building your dream life. And when they finally look back and realize what they lost, it won't matter. By then, you'll be so far ahead that their opinion will be irrelevant. Let me leave you with this. Your story isn't over until you decide it is. No one gets to write the ending of your book except you. So pick up the pen, rewrite the ending, and make it so powerful that when you look back, you'll thank them for leaving. Because their departure was the catalyst for your greatest rise. Write this in the comments. I write my own story. Say it, believe it, and live it. The pen is in your hands now. Don't just finish the story. Create an ending they'll never forget. Number 4. Don't look back. Oh, the mistake we all make. And no, I'm not just talking about looking back at them. It's deeper than that. It's holding on to that tiny, pathetic sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, if you begged one more time, things might be different. If you sent that one perfect message, they'd finally wake up and see your worth. But let me be brutally honest. What has begging ever done for you? Has it ever brought them closer? No, it's only dragged you further down, stripped you of your dignity, and left you hollow, clinging to scraps they didn't even care to offer. And here you are, still holding on to the fantasy that begging might work this time. It won't. Let me hit you with the truth you don't want to hear. Every single time you look back, you shackle yourself to the past. Every time you entertain the thought of chasing them again, you're telling the universe, I haven't learned my lesson yet. Please hurt me again. And guess what? It will, because as long as you keep looking back, you're giving them free rent in your mind, letting them dictate your emotions, your self-worth, and your future. Is that really what you want? As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. But you're not letting the end be the end, are you? You're dragging it out, replaying the same tired script in your head, hoping for a different outcome. Newsflash, the ending doesn't change just because you keep staring at it. The only way to move forward is to stop looking back. And no, I don't just mean blocking them or avoiding their social media. I mean letting go of the idea of them, the belief that they were the key to your happiness. They weren't. They never were. You want to know why looking back is so dangerous? Because it's not just about them. It's about you. Every time you look back, you're choosing to hold on to the version of yourself that needed their validation, the version of you that begged, cried, and stayed up all night wondering what you did wrong. That version of you is not who you are anymore. So why are you clinging to it like a lifeline? You can't rise while you're dragging the dead weight of your old self. Cut the rope. And let's talk about that tiny voice in your head, the one that whispers, maybe if I try one more time they'll change. That voice is not your friend. It's your weakness, your insecurity, your fear of letting go. And let me tell you something. The person who truly values you doesn't need another chance to realize your worth. They don't need you to beg or chase or fight for their attention. The fact that you're even considering it shows how much work you still need to do on yourself. As Marcus Aurelius said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Think about that for a second. If this was your last day on earth, would you really want to spend it looking back at someone who treated you like an option? Someone who ignored you, rejected you, and made you feel small? Or would you finally let go, hold your head high, and start living the life you deserve? The past is a prison, and looking back is the lock. But here's the good news. You hold the key. The moment you stop glancing over your shoulder, the moment you stop entertaining the thought of going back, you set yourself free. You free yourself to move forward, to grow, to become the person you were meant to be. And trust me, that person isn't standing in the shadow of someone who didn't see their worth. So let me ask you, are you done looking back? Are you ready to stop holding on to the fantasy of one more chance and start living in the reality of your own power? Write this in the comments. For once and for all, I never look back. Say it, own it, live it. The only way to win is to stop playing their game entirely. Your future is waiting. Stop looking behind you and start walking toward it. Number 5. Turn the spotlight. So instead of looking back on the idea of what could have been, what you could have done, or how you could have made them stay, it's time to turn the spotlight right now. You've been shining it on them, highlighting their actions, their happiness, their decisions, their indifference. But let me ask you, why are they the star of your story? Why are you handing over the spotlight to someone who left you in the dark? That's not their spotlight, it's yours. It's time to turn it back where it belongs. Imagine a stage. For too long, you've been standing in the wings, waiting for your cue while they bask in the glow of your attention. You're watching their life unfold, giving them center stage in your mind while you shrink into the background. But here's the truth. The spotlight isn't fixed. You control where it shines. So stop wasting it on someone who walked off your stage. Turn it inward. Turn it on you. As Epictetus said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. This is your moment to stop focusing on them and start focusing on yourself. That light you've been using to illuminate their life, use it to see yourself clearly, to recognize your strength, your potential, and your ability to thrive without them. They were never the light in your life. You were. You've just forgotten how brightly you can shine when you're not dimming yourself for someone else. Think about this. When you turn the spotlight inward, you stop needing their validation because you're finally giving yourself the attention you deserve. You stop waiting for someone to notice you because you've started noticing yourself. You see the flaws, the scars, and the strengths that make you who you are, and you realize you don't need anyone else to complete the picture. You are already whole. Here's the truth you might not want to hear. The reason they seemed so important was because you made them the focus. But the moment you turn the spotlight on yourself, they fade into the shadows. They're no longer the center of your world because you've become the center of your own. As Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Your why isn't about proving your worth to them. It's about living a life so full of purpose that their absence becomes irrelevant. Turning the spotlight isn't just about reclaiming your power. It's about rewriting the narrative. You're no longer the supporting character in someone else's story. You're the star of your own. And when you take the stage with confidence, with grace, with unapologetic brilliance, the world will take notice. Not because you're chasing attention, but because you're radiating it. So stop looking back. Stop shining the light on the past, on the person who left, or on the idea of what could have been. Instead, shine so brightly that the only thing you see is the path ahead. Write this in the comments. For once and for all, I am my own light. Say it, believe it, live it. The spotlight is yours now. Step into it. Number 6. Become the ghost they'll never forget. Now, let us come to that point where they will finally notice. When the power of your silence and your shine becomes undeniable, you will transform into something they can never escape, the ghost they'll never forget. But let me be clear, this isn't about haunting them with bitterness or playing petty games. No, this is about leaving such an unshakable mark on their mind that they can't help but feel the weight of your absence every single day. You don't chase. You don't explain. You simply disappear in a way that leaves them questioning everything. Think of a candle extinguished in a dark room. The flame is gone, but its warmth lingers, its light burned into your memory. That's what you become. They might not have valued your presence, but your absence will speak louder than anything you could have said or done. The silence you hold, paired with the life you rebuild, creates a void they cannot ignore. They'll scroll through their phone expecting a message, but there will be nothing. They'll look for signs of you on social media, but instead of drama or desperation, all they'll find is a version of you they no longer recognize. Stronger, untouchable, and thriving. As Seneca said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. You're done wasting time trying to make them see your worth now. Every second of your silence becomes a testament to your power. Every moment you invest in yourself becomes a reminder of what they lost. And here's the thing. They'll notice, but it won't be because you tried to make them. It'll be because you stopped trying entirely. When they do notice, it won't just be your silence that haunts them. It'll be your transformation. The person they left behind no longer exists. You've become the version of yourself they thought you never could be. Whole, confident, and radiant. They'll think back to the moments they ignored you and realize too late that those were the moments they should have held on tighter. That's the power of becoming the ghost they'll never forget. You're not chasing their thoughts. You've become an unshakable presence in their mind simply by focusing on yourself. But let me remind you, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about waiting for them to miss you or hoping for their regret. No. This is about taking all the energy you once poured into them and redirecting it into building a life so fulfilling, so extraordinary, that their regret becomes irrelevant to you. Their realization of your worth isn't your victory. Your growth is. So what's the secret to becoming the ghost they'll never forget? It's not in what you do to them. It's in what you do for yourself. You thrive, you grow, you shine, and in the process, you leave an indelible mark that cannot be erased. Write this in the comments. For once and for all, I thrive in my silence. Let it be your reminder that your power comes from within, and their memory of you will be shaped by the strength they didn't see when they had the chance. Number 7. Let them chase shadows. Now let's talk about the ultimate ending. Let them chase shadows. By now, you've transformed into someone untouchable, someone who no longer looks back, begs, or explains. The person they once knew no longer exists. You've risen stronger, brighter, and untamed, and as you step fully into your power, they'll begin to chase something they can never catch, the shadow of who you used to be. When they finally notice your absence, they won't just miss you. They'll miss the version of you that was always there, always available, always giving. But that version is gone. The love you poured into them is now poured into yourself. The energy you wasted chasing them is now fueling your glow. And no matter how desperately they try to reach you, all they'll find is a shadow, a memory of who you were, not who you've become. As Epictetus said, if someone is able to provoke you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. You've removed yourself from their grasp. You're no longer reacting to their actions or waiting for their attention. Their attempts to pull you back will feel like trying to catch smoke. Intangible, unreachable, gone. And here's the irony. The more they chase, the more they'll realize they lost something irreplaceable. But by then, it won't matter to you. You've moved forward, and they're left running in circles, haunted by what they can no longer have. Let their regret be their lesson, not your concern. You've outgrown them, and they're stuck chasing what they didn't value when it was theirs. This isn't about vengeance or manipulation. It's about liberation. Let them chase the shadows of what they lost, while you continue to walk toward the light of your own future. Your silence isn't just a reaction. It's a revolution. Your growth isn't for them. It's for you. They can chase all they want, but you're long gone. Write this in the comments. For once and for all, I leave shadows behind. Let it be your affirmation, your mantra, your truth. You're no longer here to be caught. You've transcended, and they're left chasing shadows of a past they'll never touch again. And there you have it, the journey from silence to strength, from being ignored to becoming unforgettable. This isn't just about letting go of them. It's about stepping into the most powerful version of yourself. You've learned to redesign the space they left empty, rewrite the ending they tried to control, and turn the spotlight back where it belongs, on you. You're not looking back. You're not explaining. You're not waiting. You're thriving, growing, and leaving shadows behind. Now, the choice is yours. Will you keep chasing what's lost, or will you step into your own power? Remember this: your silence, your shine, your transformation. That's what speaks the loudest. It's not about making them notice. It's about realizing you never needed them to see your worth because you see it now. If this video resonated with you, don't leave without taking action. Hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear this, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on the content that pushes you to rise higher. And in the comments below, write this affirmation: for once and for all, I choose my power. Let the world know you've decided to move forward. This is your moment. Own it. Your rise starts now.